Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Coming to you almost live from the gates of Hammer Hall in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, it's the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 149. Holy hand grenades. It's July 9th, and I'm your host, Bill. Hey, I was a harbinger of clumsiness once. Costello, and with me?
All the way from the feasting halls in northern Verdia, it's Joshua. Did you know that you can make scrolls out of marrow? Alt.
Oh, that's gross.
It's real gross.
Thank you for starting us off on that note.
Yeah, it's been a while, so I thought we had to have a little bit of a punch. But I tell you what, it's not going to be terribly shocking. Well, maybe I just kind of made it shocking now, because that's literally in the story we're going to be talking about today, folks. Because oh my God, we finally got a narrative book.
Holy.
After what? Thondia?
Yeah, Thondia was the last narrative book, and I thought that one was the be-all, end-all of great narrative stuff, and this one's just... And this is a series.
Yes.
Holy... Well, we'll get to our thoughts in that one, because today we got so much ground to cover, because we've been gone for a month.
Yep.
A solid month. We last recorded on June 4th, and here it is the 9th. But, I mean, we had life happen. I had a vacation in the middle of there. It's, we're sorry, but I did turn off the Patreon, so you're not getting charged for any of this.
But it was worth the wait. I mean, because we know we had that deluge of 10th edition in between everything.
Yes.
So they sort of drip fed us some things for AOS. And then, lo and behold, finally, Harbingers drops, along with the new Regiments of Renown.
Yeah.
Which are very narratively based. We're going to get into all of that. I, humbly, for all of you adoring listeners, summarize the entire story from Harbingers volume. It's book 1, Harbingers. Yeah. I summarized the whole thing for you, so it's sort of the TLDR on it, because there's a lot in there. So we'll go through that. Well, we got the usual stuff up front.
Yeah, we're also going to cover the new battle scroll, which really shakes things up.
Yeah, mostly with points, dear God.
I've not seen that much red on a point change thing in a long time. That's awesome. And red means dropped in point. So that's just gorgeous.
No, green's dropped in points, Bill.
God. Okay, sorry.
Green means go. Red means stop.
Yes. Oh. What you mean is there's a lot of green on here.
Yeah.
Wow, I am...
Red-green colorblind?
That's something I want to bring up about the battle scroll. Who in their right mind thought magenta text on an orange background was a good idea? I'm like, wow, do you not read that thing about how most men are colorblind in that area? So anyway, we've gone from nothing to an embarrassment of riches in 1 week.
Yes.
Because it's been nuts.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be so fun on our side of things, narrative moving forward, but I think it's going to be a good sign for anti-magic armies coming up.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
The season of corn, baby. It's Hero Hammer, and it's 2-up save, Skull Crushers, and your magic does nothing to me.
But it's also the season of no more rock, paper, scissors. Thank you, God, in GW. So I'm really digging this. Another thing in the intro I want to cover real quick is from... I don't think this show will be out by then because I don't see my calendar, but 12 July is when the next Animosity campaign starts. If you don't know, Animosity campaigns are worldwide AOS narrative campaigns that are controlled by Alex Palomini and his team all through a website. It's an amazing effort that they put on. This is Animosity 5, The Fated Blade. They're accepting signups until the 12th of July, which I think this show will be out after that, but you can probably worm your way into it. And there's so many different ways to participate that there's really no one that can't play in this, because you can play games of AOS, Warcry, Underworlds, hell, the Soulbound RPG, or you can just do hobby. You can just paint stuff up. You can convert models. All of it flows into their narrative. If you just want to write a story, You don't even want to play a game. You just want to write a short story. Put it in there. They're taking everything in, and it updates, and everything changes weekly. These guys pour so much effort into Animosity. It's unbelievable. So if you're interested at all in narrative campaigns, and especially a worldwide one, go to the We Are the Neon website, and you can find the link there to the Animosity 5 campaign and get involved. It's so much fun. It's so crazy. The Discord is about to go explodey. I don't know what else to say.
Nuclear?
Yeah, it's such a, when Animosity is in full swing, you have to mute the Animosity because there's literally a message every 2 seconds, and it's just off the hook.
Love it.
And it's fun. It's really fun. Alex and his team, they just do so much work. They just do so much for Animosity and for the community. It's nuts. That is a Warhammer hero right there. So, all right, shall we slip quietly into New Dawn?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I bet you thought I was going to say something more comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty comfortable with what you have in New Dawn here. It's not very much.
You know what's funny is, and we'll give our thoughts on 10th edition in After Dark, but I'm actually sort of surprised by the lack of 10th edition stuff coming out. The lack of glut of models, understanding that Leviathan came out 2 weeks ago. All the AOS stuff is dropping right now, which is sort of cool but weird for the 40K people. But it does give them a chance to have a couple of weeks with the indexes and to start learning, and gives GW a chance to address some issues, which they already have started, no fairness. Yeah. But now all of a sudden we have just this deluge of AOS stuff that is major impactful. It's not like, oh, here's a new model. Yeah. No, this is heavy stuff. So, yay.
Yeah, it moves shifts the meta in terms of any competitive play.
Oh,
and
my God.
It definitely is progressing the story in a major way that I am absolutely giddy about.
I hate it.
More later.
Yeah. I just have to be the negative guy.
Yeah.
So for pre-orders this week, you may have noticed that the queue was open yesterday because the Lion, he's a 40K guy, came out in his own, as opposed to the Lion box set, which had the Lion and his retinue. This is just the Lion, and it had the same effect as the original Lion. It was sold out in minutes, and okay. Also, what came out was the new Farstrike model.
Farsight.
Did I wrote down Farstrike? Oh my God, what an idiot. Okay, so Farsight.
Farsight, not Farsight. Bill has it recorded in about a month and 5 days, folks.
So anyway, Farstrider came out.
Hold on, Bill needs to recognize it real quick.
Okay, yeah, we're on a great note to start with.
Yes.
Yay! So, the old one was a fail cast model. It was crap.
Yeah,
and now the new one is beautiful plastic, and yeah, that was the only thing I ordered. The other thing that came out was Snickrot for the orcs in 40K. These are all, of course, 40K items. A welcome new model for Boss Snickrot. That was it for pre-orders this week. So I would imagine that when we hit the news at 11 today, it might have a plethora of 40K stuff in it.
Well, I'm not sure about that quite yet because remember they've got the Battle for Ogrim going, and that resolves tomorrow?
That's right. Yeah, it resolves Monday. Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, tomorrow, and then they'll have the announcements for the new models Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that Sunday is going to be the pre-order for the models that they reveal. Is kind of like my gut. But they said it might be a little bit later. Either way, I think I have no idea what's going to be on the news at 11.
No, actually, I don't. You're right. It's kind of we're in a weird place.
Yeah.
So it could be anything. And in case you don't know, the Battle for Ogrim is this thing they put out. It's GW's shot at a worldwide campaign, kind of. I think they're getting their feet wet, seeing if their computers and their tallying can handle it. Hint, hint, folks, they're not going to let the Tyranids win. Don't think that, the memes are already out there that as far as the straw polls right now are that Tyranids are winning by a long shot. And I guarantee you when we see the announcement, it'll be, oh, the Ultramarines have won again. So
yeah, they're Dumbledoring it.
yeah.
Sorry, I just thought of what might be. All right, mark it, folks. You're not going to hear it till 11. You already know if it's out. My prediction, Bill, Cities of Sigmar.
Oh, wow. That would be
The launch box.
bonkers.
Because they just announced that 2 weeks ago, last week with the Manticore. Not in the box, but they got the launch box. That beautiful Manticore is going to be coming out, which of course is the line we all wanted to hear about on the show.
That was the only line that mattered.
Oh my God, such a beautiful model.
Ugh.
So that might be it. I think that might be it. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see.
All right. I'm marking it down. You heard it here today, folks. And when you hear this, it will be too late, but we know.
Yeah.
So what went up for pre-order last week is, of course, what we're going to spend a lot of time talking about today was the new General's Handbook. And this one lasts for a year.
Love it.
And that will factor greatly when we start talking about it because they made some very good changes to this one so that it has the legs to last for a year and won't be just simple rock, paper, scissors. My Galician veteran is better than yours, so I win.
Yeah.
We're not going to have that anymore. And, of course, Harbingers Book 1. It's all right, I guess.
That's okay. I only wrote like a 2-page synopsis on it. So.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, that was just the narrative part of it.
Just the
lore.
Yeah. So in the not quite 40K preview day that they had, there were some interesting announcements. Some very cute. Of course, like you said, they announced the Cities of Sigmar box. They announced the Knight Acheron and Knight Castigator for Horus Heresy. So Knights getting into Horus Heresy. I like that. That's cool.
Me too.
A Warcry mob for the Cruel Boys. Yay. Very cool sculpt.
Yeah.
On that one. I doubt if it's gonna. I mean, I would actually probably think that Cruel Boys would play better in Warcry than they do in AOS.
Yeah.
I think their abilities are going to be a lot more. They're going to be fun to play, I think. I haven't seen the cards or anything yet or what they do, but you can just kind of posit that they're going to have some really fun abilities. And some of their doubles and triples are going to be bonkers.
Yeah.
So, looking forward to them. If you ever wanted to play Skaven in Underworlds, guess what? Skabek's Plague Pack is coming to you soon.
I mean, if you didn't want to play the other two Skaven warbands that are in Underworlds, this one looks interesting. Yeah. Really interesting. And I love the little pet rat because now that, once they did all the little pet Griblies, particularly, let's be honest, the crab.
Yeah.
That's become a very popular thing. You got Knife Monkey.
Mm-hmm.
You've got a couple dogs and Hexbanes. You've got the Starfish.
Yeah.
In Word Hollow with the Zinch stuff. So,
some of them hit like a freight train, like Doggo and Crabclaw, and others just, it was a nice try.
Yeah.
But of course, like we always say, if you want to see where the model ranges are going, take a look at where Warcry is and take a look at where Underworlds is. That's where the ranges are going. Yep. They have been great bellwethers for what the range is going to start to morph into.
Mm-hmm.
So they also announced an old world Bretonnian battle standard bearer. Very cool looking knight. Very Bretonnian. Yay, old world. Yay.
I'll be Cities of Sigmar too. Come on.
I know.
I mean, I think the city stuff can sort of play into both. Maybe. They're very basic troops in that box. You get 2 units of 10 just Jagovs, and then you get 5 knights. And do you get the Master Blaster in that one? I can't remember.
I have to look at it. Hang on one second.
I'm talking about the dude riding on top of an Ogre with a literal gun.
Yeah, I think he comes with that. Yeah.
So he has a literal gun on that post. So it's not my aesthetic. Some of the models I think look cool.
Yes.
Some I'd like to use for conversion pieces, like the generals right on foot. I would love to turn them into Inquisitors.
I think there's going to be some play in, at least for me, I mean, in my narrative world, I think there's going to be some play for me in that box, along with a Stormcast. Playing a Stormcast army with cities, allies, and be able to lean a little bit more into that entire build that is city, city defenders, or I forgot what it's called in the Stormcast book, because I've never even considered it since I didn't have the models. But this looks like it could be fun.
I've considered, since they're redoing all the sculpts, is just taking it, turning into my Flesh Eater Courts army.
I was, there's just so many ways you can tweak that box into other things. I think that box is going to do well. Actually, there's a lot of crossover in that box, and there's a lot of units there that can be splashed if you want, and I'd say it's a little more narrative than competitive, but we'll see what happens when the book comes out.
Yeah.
And the Cities of Sigmar Battle Tome comes out.
Yeah.
But the highlight of the day, and the thing that made me just giggle and get silly, was the announcement of Warhammer Horus Heresy Legions Imperialis, or Epic for Horus Heresy. Strange choice to limit Epic to Horus Heresy, but I can kind of see where they want to go. It really limits the model range quite a bit and allows them to get a feel for how much acceptance it has.
Also, too, they just launched 10th, so I don't think they want an Epic 40K and an Epic scale to be competing with normal 40K.
Money dollars
Yeah.
people want to spend. So, yeah, I would say if this goes over well, which I think it will, it will for me, because one of my dreams has always been to do the Siege of Terra or Istvan 4 on a tabletop, and, here it comes.
Yeah.
So I am so jazzed to see Epic Legion Imperialis back on the table. And the idea that it's going to work with the aircraft, it's going to work with all of the other Adeptus things, the Titanicus, the Aeronautica Imperialis, all those things are going to flow into this game. I'm like, that just, you're hitting it. You're doing it, guys. You're doing it. I like it. And I don't know if you saw the reveal, but did you see the models?
Oh, yeah.
I actually went outside and grabbed some of my Epic models, and, I was just looking at the detail on them, and yes, you can tell it's a Space Marine.
Yeah.
It is a blob of plastic that is strikingly similar to a Space Marine. Looking at these two models, I'm like, holy crap. The detail on them is stupid. I love it.
Remember that Tabletop Inquirer post I showed you? Oh God,
yes.
He hit it right on the head this time, where it shows the contents of the box for Legion Imperialis, and it says, guy who owns 3,000 unpainted, 3D printed Epic models tells you you're a chump if you buy this.
Oh my God, I do love it.
Oh God. I tell you what, you're not going to be able to print at the quality that I think GW is going to get to.
I don't know.
Not for that price, I don't think.
No, probably not for... It's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this in the 3D printing world, because there's some guys out there that are doing... there's guys that have been doing Epic for resin 3D printers that have just been knocking it out of the park. Just crazy good sculpt. But the ability to just go to the store, buy the box, and have the army on the table within hours, as opposed to printing up over the course of a week your army, I'll buy it. Thank you.
Heck, might buy a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's even a fun, if two people just want to try it, see if they want to play it.
Oh, yeah.
You can split the army, as they talked about.
Yeah.
And so you can try it out. Like, hey, I like this one. I tried the Space Marines versus the Solar Auxilia. Then we switched, and it was just so much fun. I think I'm ready to invest in this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're doing, is they're trying to get a feel for will it blend, and it will. It will sell. Don't worry.
Just say, though, if you don't do accurate OSL on all your plasma, then you're doing it wrong.
Totally. And you know what? If the Space Marine eyes aren't set off, you're not at my table.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right.
And then the one guy is like, guys, I did LED. Oh, my God.
Good God. But, there's people out there that are going to do that.
Yeah.
And I love that part of this hobby, is that the craziest whacked out thing you can think of, someone will do.
Yeah.
Thank you, God.
Yeah. When they drill the holes up through into the Titans, so that way they can.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, they're just so awesome. So cool. Anyway, one thing I wanted to give a shout out, or two things I wanted to give a shout out to, was when 40K dropped, I did buy the collector's edition of the core book.
So pretty.
And yeah, I gotta say, it's not to the level of some of the other collector edition, new edition drops, which some of them were just over the top.
Yeah.
Dumb with what they came with. But this one came with, of course, the really beautiful book, the very slimmed down, tiny, carryable core rule book, some six of the objective markers, metal coins, of course, and a set of small format, I think 5x8 or 4x6 art prints that are just off the hook awesome. And all the old box arts. So just so gorgeous, so well done. And, you know, while I say it's not as over the top a production as some of the other ones, it also didn't have that price either. So yeah. I can remember back in the day paying upwards of $200 for the Death Guard, just the release of the Death Guard box. And what you got in that, I did not think was worth $200.
Yeah.
A cardboard plague counter. Oh, come on. Not really. You didn't hit that one. Talk to someone that does acrylic. You can do that. So, and if you are subscribed to the Imperium set, I have this strange feeling because they're telling me that premium number 4, which is scheduled to come out this month, and then they started talking about Ghazghkull Thraka. And I'm like, if they send me another Ghazghkull Thraka, I'm going to be very impressed.
Yeah.
Even if it's the old one.
Yeah.
I don't care. So I'm just like, okay, that's cool. So orcs are coming in the next premium. So, and of course, you know, Imperium marches along. It's such a crazy subscription. It's so weird. I love it. It's nuts. All right. So we'll get into creation.
I think so. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Okay. So what did I do over the last month? Well, crazy little game came out from AMG at the same time. And it was called Shatterpoint, and it's really good. So I've got the core box for that. I built it, primed it, painted, or, you know, at least base coated most of it. I have all the core box forces painted up. Still have to do some work on the terrain, but got just about everything else done. The expansions are starting to come out now. I got the Vader and Obi-Wan. It's the Vader Jedi Hunter and Obi-Wan Out of Hiding models. So slightly past the Clone Wars era.
All right.
So I have to get those primed even. It comes on this really wild diorama. I don't know if it was such a great decision to put Vader and the new Obi-Wan in a $90 diorama box that nobody wants the diorama for. Mm-hmm. But they've done it before, so I think it's a bad design choice. They should let those things out in their own boxes so that everybody can get them. But they came with nice foil cards and everything. So, but one of the things I did on this as a test was I exclusively used Speed Paint 2.0 on all of these models. And I have watched some videos where painters compared all the different contrasts. So GW contrast, Speed Paint 2.0, the Vallejo Express, and some brands I've never even heard of before, along with the green stuff dipping things, which are horrible. And a lot of them come to the conclusion that the speed paints are the best. And I have to say, after playing them with them myself, they are better. They are far more consistent across the range. With the GW contrast, you kind of have to understand, and you really have to test each one of the colors, because some of them are very, very thick.
Yeah.
And they're very loaded with pigment. One of those purples is black. It's
Shayish purple.
Yeah. It goes on so dark, and there's no contrast to it. The new black, the Black Legion, as opposed to Black Templar, Black Legion is just black, thin paint. Mm-hmm. Which actually is really nice for shooting through an airbrush if you want to tint something down or desaturate, but it's horrible as contrast goes. And some of the reds are just so thick. Whereas, you know, on the flip side, you have things like the new yellows, which are, wow, are they good?
Oh, yeah.
So, and I'm not trying to say GW contrast range is bad. It's just that you have to learn what each one does.
Yeah.
With the speed paint range, just about every single one of them is about exactly the same. They have the same thickness. The consistency is there. You can literally just pour them into the cup of your airbrush and start spraying them. For, obviously they don't do contrast things during the airbrush, but they're great filters. They're great overall shades. Mm-hmm. In fact, I still have to do Ventress's cloak. Hopefully I can get to that today. But anyway, so I would have to say, and just, of course, the cost, the exact same amount in each bottle. And GW is in pots. The Speed Paint 2.0s and dropper bottles, so you waste one hell of a lot less, and they're half the price of contrast paints. Half the price. So I have to say I'm really digging on the Speed Paints. Really, really digging. So
let's try them out.
Yeah, I mean, they're great. They're just great. Now, the Speed Paints 1.0 had all those issues. Those are gone now. They are no longer reactivated if they get wet, but they also seem to have some kind of retarder in them that I think GW did not want to add to theirs. So you have a little bit more playing time and a little bit more blending time with the Speed Paints. But of course, the downside to that is it takes a lot longer to dry. So, not knocking GW contrast paints. When they're good, they are beyond anything. So, in the Leviathan box, the 40K box, I built exactly 2 Tyranids. The first 2. That's for me. At a separate location, I jumped in and built half the box. I built the Space Marine side of one of the boxes, but that was just so we could get it on the table. But I don't own those models, so that was like a wasted effort. Oh, well. The Legion Army commission that I was working on is complete and mailed out and sent and received, and it arrived with almost no damage, which I was really happy.
There you go.
One antenna came off of the ATST, and it, like you said, it didn't even break. It just came off. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So really happy to see that. That was a really fun, super fast Blizzard Force paint job. So
great.
That was my creativity. So
I haven't been as active in the last month, just working on so many things. And I forgot to put this on the list. So maybe this is a lot. So I built and primed and painted 10 Desolation Marines. I custom built a lieutenant because I didn't have one. Interestingly enough, I never really bought Space Marine boxes.
Now, wait a minute.
So I didn't get the compulsory lieutenants in anything.
The most ubiquitous model in 40K. The one that there is more of than troops. You didn't have.
I didn't have one.
Oh my God.
So I made one. Good. By taking an intercessor, and Troy had printed me up some pieces that fit perfectly onto Primaris Marines.
Nice. That
are essentially like Japanese armor.
Oh, cool.
Right? So I had like the shinobi helm, I had the, plated pauldrons, and then the epaulets, right? Or tassets, whatever you want to call them. Sorry. And then had a futuristic katana-like sword and a sheath without a sword in it. So I have him essentially like having like drawn the sword like he just slashed. And then I've got the battle standard coming off his backpack.
Nice.
So that was fun. Built an apothecary, and built and primed a Hellblaster squad.
Oh, cool.
So I haven't painted them yet. Then I built, primed, and painted. I haven't based any of this yet, though, so it's not 100%. What is it? Hailstrike land speeder, right? One of the new ones.
Oh, nice. I love those.
Just because, I don't know. I think when you like point at a unit and give the rest of your army additional AP when you shoot it was pretty good.
That's a skill.
Yeah. I mean, I feel pretty good about that one. So I did all that. Then I built and primed 1,000 Suns combat patrols. So just, that's 2 units of 10 Zangors, 1 unit of Scarab Occult Termies, and then the, I don't know what the dude's name is. The guy who shoots screamers at people.
Screamer shooter guy.
Yeah. I don't know why his name is escaping me right now. Right. But and this kind of gets into something I'll talk a little bit later, but I had so much 1,000 Suns that I was just sitting on. And I was like, well, I want to play like a couple different factions. Interestingly enough, they're both Marines this time around. But I was like, I've got a fully painted Magnus. My Armin's almost painted. I've got a custom made Tzeentch Demon Prince where I have the Lord of Change head popping out of its body. And like, I think I'll do this.
There you go.
I think I'll do this. Just need to find a Mutalith Vortex Beast if it ever comes back around.
I think I have one.
So those are Yeah, they're rare commodities
Yeah,
these days. And then I built and painted Inquisitorial Kill Team, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in battle.
Nice.
For a month, that is actually light for me. So
I was going to say that looks like a week normally, but slacker. Like
Yeah.
I said, folks, life happened, okay?
life happened hard. The way I'm painting up my white scars is I'm basing them more on the Ebon Keshig
Yeah.
from 30K, but instead of having two white pauldrons, I have the left one being red. Sort of this like little narrative hook for crusade purposes if we go that way, where essentially they feel dishonored because they couldn't defend their Primarch during the heresy, and so it's them attempting to kind of throw themselves into combat in an attempt to regain their honor. So that's why you don't have two white pauldrons, right? Though I will signify narratively when I have someone with two white pauldrons, right? Because it means that they others believe them to have redeemed themselves.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that'll probably be like, captains, things like that.
Sure.
But
I like it.
Yeah,
That's cool.
pretty
That's
fun.
a really neat way to, man, that's fun. In Crusade, that'll be just bonkers fun.
oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was my creation.
All right, let's take a quick break, have some breakfast, and then we'll come back and hit battle. I got a lot of battle.
You got a lot of battle.
I got some fights in,
Jesus.
and I suck. I hate to bury the lead, but yeah, I'm not good at games.
Make sure you join us tonight for the news at 11.
As the beautiful young lady just said, it is 11 o'clock, and Josh, your prediction.
Was wrong. Yeah,
Okay.
so
I didn't want to call you out.
I didn't want to call you out, but I just thought I was going to kind of call you out a little bit.
Yeah, it was passive aggressive.
So Warhammer 40,000, it's the intro stuff,
Yep.
right? This is interesting. Warhammer 40,000, the rules.
Yeah.
So the four core rules have been revitalized with the new edition, changing the way that they keep. They're available to download for free, but the small hardback book is the ideal gaming companion. So that, 60-page document that we got for free online,
Yeah.
if you prefer just a solid rule book for it, here it is.
Well, and keep in mind, it says it's just a touch smaller than A5 format. So you're looking at what we consider to be the small notebook size. It's not 8.5 by 11.
Yeah.
This is the same small book that you get in the collector's edition. It's, it's small.
Yeah.
And it's very portable, and it's highly recommended. Go get one.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
And it's going to be $80, but get one. I'm kidding. It's not
yeah,
$80.
no, it's not going to be 80. It's like 75 plus
Sure.
tax, whatever. So then we're going to get introductory sets, which is great. Comes with paints, comes with clippers, comes with a paintbrush and some dice. You're going to get a little bit of termagants. You're going to get some Infernus Marines and, well, I'll be darned, a Ripper Swarm.
Yeah.
And it looks like a little bit of a gaming mat. So
So I have to buy 4 of those to get my Ripper Swarms up to.
I doubt that, but
kidding.
we're going to look a little bit later and see what you can do for Ripper Swarms. So then you have the actual starter set. This is where you're going to get 5 Infernus Marines. It looks like I think that's the captain, right? Yeah, Captain Terminator Runner, 5 captains against winged Tyranid Prime, Psychophage, 3 Von Ryan Sleepers, and 10 more Termagants and a Ripper Swarm.
Yeah.
So
That starter set is a very good starter set. I hope they price it appropriately.
isn't that roughly the Combat Patrol? Almost. It doesn't have the Librarian.
Yeah, no, not quite.
So then you have the Ultimate Starter Set. This one actually comes with actual terrain, folks.
Yes, real terrain.
Real terrain. So
Real
2
terrain
full
they couldn't sell on the way. Okay, anyway.
if you're starting out, Bill,
I know.
Combat Patrol's better, but this is okay. So everything the starter set does, plus 6 extra miniatures you need to make 2 full Combat Patrols of Space Marines and Tyranids.
Yep.
Right? So just the extra little things you need to get to bump it up. It looks like, wow, they're going to just be releasing the Librarian and Terminator armor by itself. Cool.
It certainly looks like it. Librarian and Terminator. Oh, God, that paint job they did on him is still so... Every time I see it, I just like, wow.
For sure. You're also going to be able to order Barb Gaunts
Thank you.
separately. Yeah, like...
I don't have to buy 6 freaking Leviathan bucks.
No, you don't. Not this time, at least.
Well, I'm gonna buy another one.
As they do with all their little paint starter stuff, you get one with 3 Infernus Marines and some basic paints.
Yep.
or you can get a Termagant Ripper Swarm with some basic paints, which is great. Or you can just do the paints and tools, which is specifically for the Leviathan box, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. I got to say, I want to throw a call back to the starter set, the introductory set. Freaking good job, GW, for looking at what would make a starter set worth a damn. So you get forces from both sides, plus enough paints to kind of get you going. I mean, we're not talking about a ton, but you get the clippers. You get the ruler, you get the dice, you get a paintbrush. You can actually start to embark on a hobby journey with that box.
Exactly.
And something that's been missing and it's been out of the line for some time, is a box like this that gives you everything. Get started here. I mean, they've had it broken out into different boxes, but this is all in one. I like that. That is bonkers good.
Yeah, I love it, except the Space Marines are going to win every time, so whatever.
No, yeah, that's a given right there. So.
5 flamers and
yeah, and I don't care what. Well, I win.
All right, I'll go ahead and let you shoot first. Oof, I'll let you shoot again.
Okay.
All right, maybe the third time. Okay, now I'm going to shoot my flamers. I'm
Are
sorry.
you done?
Yeah. So it's cool incremental ways to increase and make things better. Having the Barbagants broken out, having the Librarian broken out. Pretty soon, like, I know they're going to have all the other individual units start to turn up. What's going to be real cool is when we get the multi-part kits.
Sure.
Can't wait for those.
Yeah, but this is good. This is good to see the Barbs and the Librarian come out, because those are some things that people were pissed that were locked behind the Leviathan box.
Yeah.
Now they're not. So there. Me.
For
Warhammer Horus Heresy, Sons of Horus Decurion Lanius is being released. Very cool. He is a tank commander for the Sons of Horus. It's a very cool model. You're going to be able to twist him around to virtually any faction you want. He comes with a hat, and without a hat, I seriously suggest the hat, because he's ugly. Anyway.
Unless you're into that, I guess.
Well, I mean,
right.
Sure. But yeah, that's actually a tank commander for, I mean, granted it is Sons of Horus, but you can adjust that quite a bit. For Blood Bowl, we got Ripper Bolgrot. I believe he's a star player, right?
Oh, yeah.
Smartest troll in all of Blood Bowl, which means he can, well, anyway. Yeah, he's not, okay, he's smart. And he's a troll, so what could be bad?
I love, if you look, it took me a second to catch it, but on his, like, ugly nose, he's got glasses. Mm-hmm. He's got little reading specs on. So that's how you know he's smart.
Of course, he uses glasses. And he can read, because why else would he have reading glasses?
Exactly. He looks cool. He really does. I love that the glove he's got is just ready to punch someone in the mouth.
Yeah. He has the ability to re-roll dice that isn't armor, injury, or casualty roll once per half. I guess, right? Once per half? Yeah. You roll one die per half. So that's pretty good for a star player. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Let's see what he does for sure.
Sure. He plays football. I'm just saying. All right. So in the Black Library realm, the Character Day 2023. So there's going to be an eShort subscription. So you'll be able to get books from a bunch of different authors. Oh, characters like Minka Lesk, Nave Black Talon, and Gotrek. So that should be an interesting selection of short stories.
Yeah. I like it.
I definitely see one that I'm going to pick up, at least for Aeronautica.
So looks like by the time you hear this, it's going to be unavailable because it starts on Monday. Stories will be available from the 10th of July until the 14th. So it's a very small window.
So forget about that. You can't have it now. Yeah. So
I hope you got it. And if you got it, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, please let us know what you think on the Discord.
Yeah. So Leviathan, the book, rolls out in French and German. Have you read it?
No.
Okay, neither have I. So
it felt like that Sell More Models book, right?
Yeah, that's the only reason I'm waiting to hear a review that tells me it's not that.
Yeah.
And then I will. But until I hear that.
I'm pretty sure it's just Indomitus for this edition. So, which was an okay book.
Sure.
There are some really cool parts in there, mostly with the Scorpec Lord.
Yeah.
His memories of being alive and his family dying was real cool. But the rest of it was
product placement.
It's kind of funny, though.
Drink Pepsi.
But the opposite of the product placement is that the old, like, captain or whatever it was, right, who was on the ship and got away is going to be the one who saves the day, and he's not Primaris. Yeah. And I'm like, wait a second. Does that help you sell Primaris though?
Did someone forget to tell this guy the goal of this story is okay? So that was Darius Hanks, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
same guy.
He's really. I like a lot of his books.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one was a miss, but he was probably forced to write it. So
His stuff is like hyper technical stuff too. So if you're like, I wonder how a Space Hulk operates, then you're gonna find out if you read his books because he goes into it.
He really does. He reminds me of Tom Clancy. At the beginning when he was really just delving into stuff. So, and last but not least, White Dwarf 490. This promises to be interesting because the very front of it is join the club. We launch a worldwide Warhammer club. Explore the brand new edition of 40K with White Dwarf 490. This issue introduces the White Dwarf Bunker, a worldwide gaming club. We'll have more info on that this week. Okay. They haven't had great luck with things like this in the past. I hope they find the mark to hit this time. I really do.
Well, maybe it's something they fold into the Imperium subscription. So like if you're already part of the Imperium thing, you become part of Bunker.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a separate company though. That's a Gura. So I think this is just going to be more along the lines of what frightens me is it might be like a social media type site just for 40K.
Ooh.
So maybe they're, maybe now that Threads is out and Elon Musk is looking for a job, maybe he's going to start up, like a 40K thing. I'm just shotgunning here. I don't know.
Right. After I up on Twitter and,
so I don't know what this is going to be. I'm looking forward to finding out this week.
I saw this meme. It was Dr. Farnsworth, Professor Farnsworth. Yeah. It says that like people on Twitter this morning, to Threads, you say.
Oh my God. What a time we live in that we can laugh about things like this because it's just plain funny.
Whatever hurts Elon Musk. Or that oh man, that's that Star Wars meme, right? It's like, I don't care if Zuckerberg wins, I just need Elon to lose.
Yes. Oh God. I don't care who wins. As long as he loses. Okay, anyway, wow. All right, so that's kind of we must be getting punchy because that was what the lady said. And I think it's all 40K, but it's all very cool stuff, except for the Blood Bowl thing. But it's all very, very cool stuff. And I think it's a nice relief week for all the money that's been spent recently. Because if you've been spending big on these other boxes, chances are you're not looking for introductory stuff. And the Terminator and the Barb Gaunts are just a little sauce.
Well, that's the thing is, as Leviathan's starting to finally be sold out in places, right? Well, I should say LGSs just don't have them anymore from what I understand. And GW stores got a few left, right? Yeah. So, I mean, if you still want one, get in there. If you're an established player, I don't think you're really looking for the starter set.
Probably not.
But that's going to be the standard coming out, right? So when that new player stumbles in, they're like, hey, I've always walked by this place and never been here before. That's what they're probably going to be buying. So
yep,
I like it.
I do too. I'm good.
And now for something completely different.
All right, we are well fed and ready to go into battle and talk about battles over the last month. Did you want to start us off?
Sure. Kind of ripped your mind a little quick here. So start out the Path to Glory for Flesh Eater Courts. My starting roster was an Arch Regent, 2 Flayers, and 1 Horror Unit. I won my first 2 games by major victory. The first one was, so we're using just core book scenarios. First one was Breakthrough, which is now banned at the store at our point level because as it starts out, if you have any fast moving flying units, which I'm playing Blisterskin,
you win.
I would just summon a unit onto the board, which would then run off. And yes, folks, yes, you heard me talk about it all those other times. It was another run off the board scenario, my first scenario in the Path to Glory.
Good God.
Got a major victory on that one, pretty easy. Then I did the Ritual. That's where I was playing against a Nighthaunt player, and he learned very quickly if you can't kill the unit, they're coming back.
Yeah.
So he charged his blade geist into my unit of 3 flayers, my veteran unit of 3 flayers, and he can never kill all 3 in one go.
Jesus. Yeah.
And so I'll just be like, cool. So heroic action, and I return. Technically 3, but I'll put 2 on because that's all I can. And then another unit of flayers went up and just like it was by the top of 3, I had the 2 nodes and the ritual on lockdown.
Oh, geez.
I killed his general, killed his blade guys. His black coach got failed his charge. That was pretty funny.
Oh, God.
And so, not that it could really have killed me. Like, it got into my arch regent and did 3 wounds to him. By the time it was done, it was easy. So that was pretty fun. Then yesterday I played against Slanesh, against a kid who was second time, and man, found out he got his rules wrong when I went and read him later on. I was just like, I only have so much time to play this game, so I'm not going to lawyer you, though he was trying to rules lawyer me on everything.
Oh, jeez.
So I was just like, okay, dude, just whatever, just play the game. Just play the game. We ended up calling. I said, I'll just lose by a point, right? I realized later on, I was like, oh, here's how I would have won it. But it was just like, I'm done. I'm done playing it when like every single thing is you trying to be kind of smarmy about it.
Wow.
So
hate that.
I went back and read everything, and I was like, oh, okay, so you're doing way more damage than you actually possibly could. Interesting. So we'll have that conversation if I play you again. Then I played a little bit of Kill Team. We're trying to figure out if we could run the Ashes of Faith stuff at a larger scale instead of just 2 players playing through the scenarios.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Really what it was intended for.
Yep.
And so I played the Inquisition, and that was part of the painting stuff I forgot to put up and talk about in detail. I built and painted the Inquisitorial team with 5 Scions, but I used them as Khazarkin.
Yeah.
I really wanted to use the Vet Guard, but I couldn't find my sprues for it. I did afterwards. Playing both those games is like, yeah, I need to play Vet Guard if I'm playing Inquisitorial Kill Team, just because I needed that extra body, and a Melta would have done wonders, over a grenade launcher or something like that.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to be hitting on 4s anyway, and I don't get the Khazarkin, like, modifying your dice type thing, I was like, I might as well just spam models.
Yeah.
So the first game I lost by a single point in that one. And later realized that because it was the guy's first time playing, and the person who was instructing him was like, here's how torrent works. And I read it, and I was like, I don't think it works that way. Right? And they're like, well, that's what the words say. And I was like, I don't think it works that way. We'll play it this one time. It's your first game. I don't really care what happens. Right? I went back and read it. Yeah, they played it totally wrong.
Whoops.
Because they played torrent like it was blast.
Oh,
and I was like, it's not blast. It's whenever you target a model, every other model that's wholly within that range of that model, and every other model is hit by torrent, which is the stupidest rule.
Yeah.
Right? That rule makes no sense to me. It doesn't cause a chain attack. It's not a sweeping attack. It's literally, you have to find models that are within a certain range of each other, and then there you go. Also think you did too much damage with it. But then I played against the Legionaries, lost by 2 points, and that's when it solidified in my mind I needed Vet Guard.
Yeah.
I was like, I really need those activations to be able to do this. So, I mean, it was fun overall. I mean, the games took forever, particularly the Legionaries one, where I'm like, dude, you're taking 10 minutes to decide your very first move.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
in your brain at the start. Oh,
it's like, this is not competitive.
Yeah.
Right? We were trying to see if this scenario works. Play the game. Play the game.
This
play
isn't
the game.
for free boxes.
Yeah. It was like, there's no money involved. Right? I think it was one point, it was like almost 15 minutes to decide whether or not to use a strategic ploy. It's like, oh
God.
I'm gonna shoot myself in the face.
Yeah. Kill me now.
2 games that should have taken in total less than 2 hours took 6. So,
oh, God. See, that's what kills me about playing at the store.
Yeah.
Just that random chance that you're going to be there all day for a simple game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I already don't have that much patience for playing these games,
Yeah.
I'm like, can we just both know what our stuff does and go forward? And then you're not like all of a sudden like, oh, by the way, I have this crazy rule that came out of nowhere. Like,
yeah.
Thanks.
Well, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're doing the Slaneshi tempting dice more than twice per phase to the same unit, and I didn't catch it. So
Little things.
yeah, my bad, but also your bad.
Yeah.
So those were my games. Scheduled to play Underworlds if I get out of here in time
Yeah.
this afternoon. But
Hopefully.
you know,
Hopefully.
who knows? We got a lot to talk about, so
We do.
I'd rather do this.
All right, so my games, I'm going to gloss over a bunch of it. I've played like over 30 games of Shatterpoint so far. They play really quickly, and it's just tons of fun. It's a whole, you really have to change your mindset about what you think a skirmish game is going to do, because there's a lot less death than you might think. There's a lot of wounding. There's a lot of damage being done, but units don't die that often. And the way the struggles work, there's 3 struggles per game, and you literally will finish a struggle because you achieved the point value needed.
Okay.
And the momentum swings are like every turn, because the way points are scored, you're just flying up and down that chart. But the next struggle picks up exactly where you left off. So nothing on the board changes. And so you kind of have to be thinking forward, okay, I'm going to lose this first struggle. I now have to set myself up in a better position for the next one.
Yeah.
And as you learn to approach it from that long-term point of view, the game gets a lot more strategic than I think people are giving it credit for. So I would have to say over those 30 games, I'm probably like 55-45. I know I've won more than I've lost, but not by that much. So in Marvel Crisis Protocol, I got my last 3 TTS games in, went 2-1, was almost the top table, but I lost out by, what was it, 1 or 2? I lost out by 2 points to making it to the top table, but I ended up 4th out of 16, so I'm not upset.
Awesome, though. Good job.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I'm just getting kind of tired of Shield now. So, I played 4, honest to God, real games at the store. And I went 2-2 again with Shield. And I love Shield. They play so well. But the counters are definitely out there now. And they just don't have... They're really fun if you like playing cagey. And I want to play like a more fighty, brawly, in-your-face kind of team.
Yeah.
I might switch over to Black Order or something. I don't know. We'll see. But the BattleTech campaign came to a conclusion, finally. Oh, my God, that was fun. It was so good, and oddly, and this doesn't happen, but I came in first. I won that one.
Way to go.
Yeah, I
Congratulations,
was.
man.
Yeah, out of 21 players, of which 8, I would say 8 to 10 were pretty constant. The others were just playing side games and playing a little bit of Garage Hammer and phoning in the results and all that stuff. But overall, I came in 2nd in money earned, 4th in units destroyed, and 1st in area taken. And the guy that was running it was like, you were the only person that played every single game to the scenario that was written for it. You were the only one that went after the objectives. So you were the only one that was just piling up territory.
Yeah.
And it just put you so far over the top of everyone else. It was ridiculous. Everybody else was just trying to kill and make die. And a lot of times I'd be like, okay, here's a light mech, go ahead and kill that. All right, here's a medium mech, go ahead and kill that. Meanwhile, I'm taking your planet from you. So yeah, so that ended up being fun. We had a little dinner with an award ceremony and everything. Yeah, these guys are off the hook. I got in 2 AOS games. I don't want to talk about them. Stormcast Eternal versus Doc. That one, I played Stormcast Eternal, and I'm claiming that one was dice. It was just, oh my God, I did not make a single charge in that game through 4 turns. Did not make any charges. Oof. And I had some 4 and 5 inch charges and did not make them.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was just like, at a certain point, I was just, you get into this funk where you're just like, okay, everything I try is going wrong. When I would roll for mortal wounds that I cause, I would roll nothing but 1s. When I would roll for saves, I would roll nothing but 1s. Anything I rolled for, whatever was bad, I would roll. And it wasn't like I always needed low or always needed high. It's just whatever I needed, I could not get. It was terrible. Just terrible. We chalked that one up to, let's go have a lot of drinks and forget that game. But then we played, I took Daughters Cain against Slaanesh. Jesus, Slaanesh is hard to fight. The more you do to them, the more depravity they get, and the more happy they are. It's so typical Slaanesh. Oh, Lord, they're just hard to move. But I finally did it. The ladies the ladies decided to show up, and they showed up big. So won that game. Got in our one game of 40K 10th edition with the Leviathan box. Played the NID side and actually won. And I've heard, like, overall people are having a hard time with box versus box combat, that the NIDs actually need a little bit more to be on an even keel with the Marines. But I actually found it reasonably easy to get them around the board and do things with them, especially when you're not constantly looking for synapse and ranges and this, that, and the other thing. And Jesus, the Von Ryan's Leapers were just doing work. Oh my God, they were good. And even the Gaunts they were contributing in a big way. So yeah, it was a super fun game. And I'm really, more in After Dark, but 10th is this. I hope this edition has legs. I really hope they don't just start creeping it like 9th did. You know, by the time we were 3 months into it, we had 967 stratagems spread across 47 books. Yeah. And it was impossible to actually comprehend at that point. So don't do it. And we did turn in the results of our game because we had the little thing from the Leviathan box to turn in the results so that Tyranids could have the first release that we know they won't get.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds futile.
Yeah, it's not going to be not the poster boys. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're going to fudge it. I'm just saying I think they're going to fudge it.
Yeah.
So that was my battle.
It's a lot of games. It's good.
Actually, it was really weird. We took in the middle of our gone period, one of the reasons we didn't record one week was Pam and I just took a week off around our anniversary and our 39th anniversary. That was weird. But we just stayed home and played games. We went up to Denver for a couple of days and stayed home and played games. A lot of Frosthaven, but a little bit of this and that. Got her back into Crisis Protocol, got her back into, or exposed her to Shatterpoint. I didn't count those games because those are teaching games. But yeah, it was totally fun. It was a blast. But I did have a lot of free time to spent one day literally just playing Shatterpoint, doing either demos or games against people that had it. And that was a lot of fun. That was tons of fun. I needed that week to unplug. So shall we jump into lore?
Oh boy. Here it comes.
So, yes. I say yes.
Yes.
So, July 2023, Battle Scroll Anditor. Okay, so they have this Battle Scroll, and it's called Andtor.
Antor.
And yes, one of those has to be silent. And since Disney just released Andor, I'm pretty sure GW is going to go with Antor. So, yeah. All right. So a lot of changes in this Battle Scroll that are humongously good for the game. Good on you, GW. And I would say if they are guilty of anything in this one, it's maybe not going far enough.
Maybe.
But I still think these are super healthy changes. Once again, whoever thinks magenta on orange is a great color mix, I will point you to the heavy metal team and they will beat the crap out of you.
Yep.
So first change is to unit coherency. Okay, now we've had some changes to coherency before, but now basically they've upped it to a unit with more than 6 models is coherent if each model in the unit is within 1 inch horizontal and 6 inch vertically of at least 2 other models in the unit. So now units of 6, so all of your Stormcast units of 3 that are reinforced to have 6 are actually now going to be able to run up and down and do things in a group and be able to fight.
Yeah.
So huge, great change for all of those groups that had issues with 3-man elite type units that literally couldn't be reinforced because there was no point in reinforcing them. They wouldn't be able to fight. So next change was Look Out, Sir.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So the new rule is you must subtract 1 from the hit roll for an attack made with a missile weapon if the target is an enemy hero within 3 inches of an enemy unit that has 3 or more models. We've seen this before. If the hero does not have a mount, with the exception of companions, It also cannot be targeted by attacks made with missile weapons if the attacking model is more than 12 inches away from them. So, getting sniped out by sentinels, the Stormcast archers, the Sylvaneth archers is luckily a thing of the past.
Love it.
Look out, sir, does not apply if the enemy hero has a wounds characteristic of 10 or more. So once again, we're at that sweet spot. Your 9 wound leaders are literally the bosses of the battlefield now.
Yep.
So huge changes to look out, sir, that are bonkers good.
I love what it means for, frankly, like Doom Bulls.
Yeah.
Great Bray Shamans.
Yeah.
You know, all those things that you're like, you know, they just look at him sideways and then he's gone. Well, now actually they need to get within 12, and you're going to try and get within 12 of a Great Bray Shaman to shoot off the board. Sure, let's have that conversation.
Yeah, but I mean, let's play test that. That'll be great fun.
Yeah. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, this plays right into this year's GHB because they had to do something to make the little heroes a little more survivable because there's a definite need to take them.
Yeah.
So.
And in fact, the next special rule, how they changed to Arcane Tome, they put in here, which also plays into, you know, Antorian locuses, Antorian loci. What it says specifically now, of course, you couldn't be wizard, priest, or corn to get the Arcane Tome. You become a wizard that can only cast Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and spells to summon endless spells.
Thank you. My God.
There's no enhancement. You know, you can't, I'm going to take Flaming. Nope.
No.
You can't do anything of the sort, right? And so there's really important here. Designers know when using the Pitch Battles 2023-24 Battle Pack, if a hero with a wounds characteristic of 9 or less is given the Arcane Tome, it gains the Antorian Locust keyword. So important stuff. I think the way it's written is great because you can't do broken, stupid stuff with this, but you get a locust if you want to have a locust, assuming you're not corn. And so I think it's great.
It's a super good change. And that newfound wizard that you have is capable of casting the best spell in the game.
Yeah.
So now that you can do Mystic Shield with your newfound wizard, you're just in a better place, period. End of story.
Yeah, I dig it. Updates across Grand Alliances. So Chaos, the Blades of Corn, now you have to spend the Blood Tithe points up to 3 times, but you have to spend it each time using Murder Lust.
Yeah.
So you don't get to just ram some dudes into combat.
Yeah, it keeps that corn feel bads from happening where just they spent 1 point and put 3 units in your face in the hero phase and kept you from either shooting or moving, or they basically just locked you down and made for some very unfun situations. So now they can still do it, but it's going to cost them more Blood Tithe. Yay.
Okay. Death, the big change, Soulblight, Gravelords, the Endless Legions. It's a once per battle per unit thing, right? So before you used to like, oh, you killed my 20 dudes, here's 10. Oh, you killed my 10 dudes, here's 5, right? That's how people were playing it across the board. Now it's, no, it dies once, you resummon it, it dies again, it's gonzo dunzo.
Yeah.
So
each destroyed unit can only be replaced once. Replacement units cannot themselves be replaced. So, yeah, stop.
They're like, guys, why do we have to say this?
Yeah, I said this was never the intent. However, its rules is written.
Well, you know,
now it's written.
It's like people complain about like, oh, that stupid rule where they say a unit with the wizard keyword is a wizard, right?
Yeah.
You're like, no, they literally had to say that because then people think, oh, I can just endlessly replace my units.
Exactly.
Deadwalker zombies. Each time a model in the scene is slain by an attack with a melee weapon, if that model is within 3 inches of the attacking unit on a 5+, take a mortal wound.
Yeah. So again, it kind of nerfs skeletons a little bit, but not so much that they're not worth their points or what have you. But it does get rid of those very gamey situations where that old ability was just sort of breaking at points. So, and really had disastrous effects on control of objectives. So, good change there. Good change.
Order, it was just LRL, Helon. So, when you're doing your super shooty with Helon, +1 to hit, +1 to wound. But you can only target an enemy unit within 6 inches. I think it's just clearing up the language and making sure it's pretty focused. This is what it does.
Yeah. It's you have to be real close. There's no more of this shooting across the board with all of your pluses. And The other nice part about this is it's not so disastrous that it makes them unplayable, but it actually makes for a lot more fun for the guy across the table. He's not going to just get shot off the board for existing.
Yeah. I mean, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Let's see. Destruction. Orc Warclan's got Sneak Up. You complete this tactic if, at the end of the turn, every friendly Kruleboyz unit is within 3 inches of any terrain features and is more than 3 inches from all enemy units. That's one of the tactics.
So that's a first turn. Here's your 2 victory points.
Yeah.
Maybe this will put you in the game. I don't know.
That's our turf now. You complete this tactic if, at the end of the turn, 2 more friendly Ironjaws units within 3 inches of the center of the battlefield.
Again, here's your free point.
There's your free points for sure. Squig Herds. They changed this so you have to pick the closest enemy unit. It's not just any enemy unit within 9.
It's not a free snipe to the enemy character who was not even part of the fight.
Right.
That was so broken. And I don't know of anybody that played it that way.
Unless you're playing competitive.
Yeah, but at the top levels it was happening, and so it had to be addressed. But yeah.
Then Sons of Behemoth, their battalions change from Or to Ans. So you get Unified and Magnificent for Boss of the Stomp, and then Unified and Swift for Foot Sluggus. So.
Yeah, it's just, I think that was always intended, but the wording might have been a little off. But yeah, those, and again, this battle scroll is so good, so well done. And, you know, mad props to that new guy that's there for doing the balance stuff. You're knocking it out of the park, dude. You are hitting it. Welcome to the community. Thank you.
Let's not go like point by point on everything, but
no.
High level overview, your opinion on the points, Bill. Any big call outs?
Yes. Croak went up 15 points. Probably not enough, but it does put him with his guard in the range of the other big god characters. So we're getting there a little bit. The Saurus Guard went up 10 points. He went up 15. So literally that unit is now up 25 points. That's a little more palatable. Skinks went up 5 points. Maybe should be 10 points. Maybe should be 100 for that unit. I don't know. Let me see. What were some of the other big? Stormcast Eternals got drops across the board. Krondus goes down 30. Karzai 20. The Knight Relictor down 20. He's now 100 point. Ooh. So some of those older Stormcast strategies are starting to come back into the fold. There's some play there. There is. Be'lakor, Be'lakor.
Who cares about Be'lakor? God.
So Archmage Teclis got demonstrably worse because of the new battle pack and went up 20 points. So here's a double whammy.
Thank God. It's just like when I see that piece across the board, I'm just like, this is going to be annoying. No matter what happens, this is going to be annoying.
It's going to be a 40-minute hero phase.
Yeah.
And the end result of it all is probably going to be not what either of you thought.
Yep.
So Daughters of Cain saw drops across the board. Everything dropped. There's still a lot of play. The Cainite Shadowstalkers are becoming something to talk about, which is really weird.
They're
Never
good.
thought that would happen, but it's a thing now.
They're good.
Fire Slayers went up across the board. Oh my God. So Idneth Deepkin way down across the board. Alopex's 60 points down to 450. There's some play there. So Eidolon of Mathland, the Aspect of the Storm, went down 20. Volturnus goes down 20. The Achillean Alopexes go down 20. You can start to make... I mean, Idneth Deepkin had the worst win ratio in the last battle pack. Obviously, because their Galician veterans were useless.
Yeah.
So, and that was the game. That was the game in this last thing, is if my veterans are better than yours, I win, you lose. So...
And then your eels, you can only really take them in packs of 3 to be effective.
Sure. Now 6.
Now you can take them in 6 and they run like they used to.
And yeah, I think the combination of these point changes and the new battle pack is going to bring Idneth Deepkin way up, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. I got nothing against that. Let me see. Any other big call outs? Rathacorn Bloodthirster down 30. 300 point Bloodthirster. Oh my God.
The Mighty Skull Crushers went up 10 points. Not a big deal.
Still tied for best unit in the game.
Just the tankiest thing you've ever seen. And so, I don't think that the Lord on the Skull Crusher isn't up. So
Nope.
yeah, I mean that guy's still like 170.
Yeah.
Right. So you could take a brick of 6 and then a single unit of 3 if you wanted to, and still be at 800 points, which ain't too shabby for all those wounds and all that beef.
I know. Good Lord.
Where's the beef? It's right here. I could see taking, if I was going to be honest with myself, taking a unit of 6 with the Lord, because you really want a hero hammer in blades, and so then you min other things. Bring your flesh hounds now because of Antor's casting stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's great. Then what was the thing?
I was going to say Megakin, if you look across the board there, Glockin goes down 50 to 600.
Yep.
Unclean One go down 30 to 450. Morbidex is going down 20 to 300. Rodigus goes down 40 to 420. Those are now very viable choices, and everything in Nurgle is going to be interesting in this next edition.
Agreed.
So, Beasts of Chaos, all over the board, all over the craziness with the changes.
I can see why a lot of this stuff. I mean, Cockatrice, obviously, that thing was way too cheap for
Way
what
too
it
cheap.
did.
Yep.
I don't think a Razor Gore is actually a model. I don't know why that's on there. The Chaos Gargant, I don't know. I feel like maybe they're trying to bring it up to like an easier point allowance by like being like 150.
If you notice, they're getting rid of all of the divided by
Fives. Yeah.
fives. And that was something I didn't really pick up on until I watched Rob's video.
Yep.
And they're trying to get rid of anything that is in a multiple of 5. So
Yeah, so I mean, Chaos Gargant probably should be 150 instead of 140. Like those guys do work with their -1 save if you're within range of it.
Yep.
Then Great Bray Shaman going up 5 instead of down 5. I understand with Entorian Locus, right? Zengor Shaman, I guess. Well, depend if his discounts as amount.
sure.
Yeah, I mean the most notable stuff for me, well, I'd say Soulblight all over the place, right? You could really tell where they're saying this is good, these aren't as good. Let's try and
Well,
get them to where we
Soulblight
wanna
had
be.
the highest win rate in the last edition because quite literally everything they had was good and their veterans were very good.
Yeah,
I think some of these changes may be readdressed in the new handbook because of the changes. But again, they're trying to equal out the book so that everything sees play style or everything sees play.
I just think it's funny when you see your corpse cart go up 10 points. Your faction's really good, so
Yeah.
it means they really need to kind of adjust that. Night Haunt just straight downward. They are, when their book first came out, they're kind of like a shock to the system.
Yes.
But I think that as time has gone on, it's sort of like maybe they're not as strong as we thought they might have been.
And
you know?
they're really not. The biggest thing they have going for them, of course, is the rend manipulation. But they don't have the striking power to really capitalize on that.
Yeah.
So seeing all those negatives is that's music to my eyes. So I love it. Absolutely love it.
OBR, you could tell it was they were really focused on the guard and Catacross the Bone Sheeper. I can't remember what the name of that one was. It was Mortis Praetorians or something.
Yeah.
Whatever one
Yeah.
like really benefits your big bone daddies, right?
Yep.
You could tell that like that's where they were kind of targeting it.
Yes.
I mean, Catacross, he was a steal at 440. At 460, I don't even know if that really does anything.
If you're taking him, you're still taking him.
Yeah.
And he's still worth those points.
Yeah.
So
Oh, he's so good.
the only thing I see here that is really tellingly bad is the what's his name? The Harvester going down 30 to 180.
I love that.
I do too, but taking away so much of that synergy that he had with the guard. I mean, it's going to even out. It's going to be. I don't think the OBR is crying too much.
I agree with that. Gloomspite got a much needed bump. Scragrog got his second hit to his points because I think it was like 180 or something before. He was like dirt cheap. Then he went up to 210. Now he's 230.
Yes.
Like they're just trying to find that sweet spot for like this tiny little dude who just morphs the battlefield into what they want it to be. And,
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And I think at 230 he's approaching, although I would say 250 is more like it. But let them creep up on the right number. Don't just overdo it. Don't add 50 points right across the bat and say, take him out of the game completely.
Well, the thing with him is the change in Lookout Sir. Ridiculous. He's a locust.
Yeah.
Right?
He's going to do work.
It's just, he's
so good.
He's so good. Everything else seems about right. I
Yeah.
mean, like 10-point bumps on all the Troggoths because those things hit like freight trains.
Sure.
The Trog boss went up by 10 too. It all makes sense to me.
Yep.
It all makes sense to me. Grinkrat the Great, he's got that mini Scragrot ability.
Yep.
So he's pretty good. I could see why he's up to 220.
Sure.
Especially with the Blade of Wounds. So
Yeah.
glad to see Suns down across the board.
Yeah. And the Man Crusher mob down by 30 to 420 puts them right in the realm of useful now. So King Broad goes down 30 to 520. So,
Gatebreaker, Mega Gargant right at 500. That's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet. The Man Crusher mobs going down is huge.
yes.
That's huge. Even just the Gargants going down to 140. You can see how Beast of Chaos or the Chaos Gargant being 10 points more than that. I tell you, it's that -1 save.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's that -1 save that's doing it.
It's beauty.
Ma tribes, man, like that Frostlord on Stonehorn keeps eking up. I'm not sure about that.
There's one good unit in the book, and you're pricing it out of existence. So, okay.
Glutton's down 20 points. Well, now that you can chain them out in units of 6,
Sure.
right? Not too shabby. But the other units in that book we were talking about, Iron Guts, Lead Belchers, they're units of 4. That's how you buy them, right?
Yeah.
It's 4, you reinforce to 8. You are still stuck
You're stuck.
in that old form of deployment, right?
Yeah.
You're almost like, please just kill 2.
Yeah.
Would you please just kill 2 of them so I can kill you better?
Exactly. I would like to be able to kill my 2 guys.
Well, that's the problem, is that you can never end a move
Yep.
out of coherence.
coherency. So you can't optionally choose to lose 2 of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just poor guys.
I know. It's so sad. They've just missed the mark on Maw tribes, and it will take some kind of generic rethinking of the unit, but they're still so stuck to the marketing requirement. If we sell it in boxes of this, then you play it in boxes of that. It's sad, but really that unit size should be changed from 4 to 3.
Agreed.
So you do it with the Stormcast, but you don't do it with these guys. So, okay, whatever. Now, Endless Spells, I do want to bring out Chronomatic Cogs did get a change.
Big change.
Not only did it go up 20 points to 50, but you need to read that one, and you need to read the changes to the, what's his name? The Geminids. So they're in the books. So check them out.
Take a look, folks.
But yeah, just a huge swath of point changes. Again, I applaud them for not trying to hit everything with a sledgehammer and do these, 40, 50 point swings across the board. Hey, these 10s and 20s, we will creep up on the right number. Just bear with them. We don't want to just sit there and, it's the law of unintended consequences. You raise the price on this thing, you lower the price of that thing, and all of a sudden, this new build comes out of that book that is just unkillable or unstoppable, and it just makes it ick. So I got to go with really, really good battle scroll this time around. Super applaud all of the rules changes. Well done.
I can dig it.
All right. You know what that means. It's time for me to shut up and go to sleep.
Oh, boy.
Because the next page and a half of our script is Josh telling us a story.
So I got really excited. This is the first full, narrative pushing or lore development in AOS since Thondia, as we said earlier. We know those cool new boxes came out and they had our new models. So everyone excited for that. Ooh, a new Harbinger of Decay. Ooh, a new Flesh Eater Courts hero. Oh, a dwarf. Oh, yeah, I guess there's a grot with a skull on his head. What is this? So the story is really interesting. So we've been in Gur forever, right? We're still in Gur, technically. But the story itself is developing outside of Gur, right?
Yes.
Why were we in Gur in the first place? Remember when Alariel went like out of her mind and just planted all like the tree bloomed and the roots spread through everywhere, and that caused they call it in here the earthquake god to awake.
Yeah.
And he was thwarted at Excelsis, and oh my god, that was so crazy, right? But Alariel never left Gairon, right? There's still other realms, interestingly enough, and our story kind of centers around, well, not sort of, but it centers around Akshi and Gairon, particularly with Hammerhall, because they have the Stormrift Realm Gate that connects Hammerhall Aksha to Hammerhall and Gairon, right? So what we've been finding out, and you can start to learn here, there's this thing called the Shudderblight Plague ravaging the lands. It causes feelings of worthlessness, despondency, lethargy, to the point of rot. They talk about how people were literally like growing into their chairs.
Hey, wait a minute. That's me. They're talking about me here.
Right? Mom, diarrhea. So, like, it literally depresses.
Hot pocket. I'm sorry. You killed me with that one. Oh, God.
So it's a horrible, horrible plague, and we'll get more into the Harbingers of Decay in a bit. But in Gairon, Alariel's like, oh, hell no. And so she unleashes these cleansing rains, which she attempts to push back the plague, right? But as we find out a little bit later on, Rodigus is brought in, Rodigus Rainmaker, or Rainfather, something like that, where they ask him to help. And so Nurgle pushes back with a plagued rain, right?
Yeah.
A rain that still tries to spread the Shudderblight. So it's becoming a duel of the rains. They kind of push back and forth, which of course, has got to be hell out there. Like one moment you're like, oh God, I'm so happy. Like the rain hit me and I feel so great. And then like Nurgle pushes back a little bit further and you're like, my life sucks. I want to die. I just don't want to move. Right.
You know what it is? There's a pharmaceutical company somewhere there that's selling bipolar medicine, and they're just like, "This is great!"
Right? Keep it up, boys. But there's a word of the noble Sir Geryon coming from the north, where there've been reports of half-eaten bodies, but there are no intact bodies or sign of plague, and so it's very strange because wherever Sir Geryon goes, it appears that the plague isn't affecting anyone, right? Or it's being rooted out. So, talking about Harbingers of Decay are the ones who bring forth the Shudderblight, which was not used much before. And the main Harbinger in this is Fulgoth the Miser. He's kind of PO'd that the plague is slowing up in the north. He went to Rodigus to help combat the rain, so he can push that back. But he still has this saying, what's going on with Geryon? And so he goes to Bloab, and Bloab is able to use his like little spy flies.
Yeah.
Many spies with many flies.
Hey,
there you
Bloab.
go. So they go out and they, hear about Geryon. Fulgoth's like, I got to stop him, right? So he uses all matters of divination and priestly stuff in order to determine that the two armies are going to meet at a place called Furtherfield, right?
Cool.
When they so they're already at Furtherfield when the ghouls start to march. And what's really fun description is that when the ghouls are far off in the distance, they appear to look like knights, right? And like this royal army. But as they get close, that's when he realizes they're just a bunch of shambling ghouls and like slavering and like can't really talk. In fact, it talks about when Geryon's trying to talk to him, right? That like he could somewhat hear what is like almost like some words between him slathering and like acting crazy.
Oh God.
Right?
I love it.
And it's great because through like his, barely able to speak actual human talk, Geryon like condemns Fulgoth for bringing the plague to the people and bringing such despair. And Geryon is marching forth to rally the people, right, for the Summer King, right, who is the king he follows, right?
Oh boy.
And it's just like, how dare you, And so we need to essentially cleanse the lands of you, but more in like an old school knightly sense, right? They go to battle. At first, it appears to be in Nurgle's favor because throughout all this, the types of Magakin, right, the Blight Kings and stuff that Fulgoth brought with him, like they love despair,
Yeah.
And everywhere they go, the Shudder Blight Plague has been spread, and despair feeds them and emboldens them and makes them more powerful, right? And so Nurgle comes in, you know, and I'll get into how different the Harbingers are from the rest of the army, but like just almost like joyful and gleeful as they go and like smash through buildings and start trying to fight the ghouls. Fulgoth is like, I need to kill Jerian, and so he's like kind of like forcing his way through, and he finds Jerian with some of essentially Crypt Horrors and Crypt Flayers around him, protecting him. He could see that Jerion's like really skilled with his like weird double-sided bone scythe, you know? It's like literally just taking out like Blight Kings and stuff. And he runs up to confront him, and what what Fulgoth decided he wanted to do was like, he wanted to use the despair to overpower Jerion. He wanted the Shudder Blight Plague to be the thing that killed him, right? Sort of like it's a very, egotistical thing, right?
It's so Nurgle. It's so.
So he points his rotted sword at him and starts like unleashing waves of the Shudder Blight Plague from it, you know? And it's starting to hit some of the ghouls. Some of the smaller ghouls just like outright kill themselves because of the despair, because it just hit so quick. But Jerion's kind of like, oh God. And he's like, you could see like the plague's actually starting to affect them. That's when Jerion grabs the broken bone around his around his neck. And this is where they get the marrow scroll from. I'll explain a little bit in a moment, but it's actually a scroll made from marrow. But he grabs it, and it just seemingly unleashes this burst of red energy, right? That envelops all the ghouls, and it turns their despair into like wrath, right? And zeal. And the Magakin are even overcome by the red light, and they kind of start losing real hard. In fact, the red sort of wrath, I could even call it, that was emanating from Jerion as he held on to this, seems to burn away the plague, right? So the plague itself is burned away by the power that's coming from it, right? And so Fulgoth sees his dudes just getting chopped down now, because like not only has it stopped the Shudder Blight from affecting the ghouls and the flesh eaters, like it's reversed it.
Oh no. So
his own dudes who are so jolly and happy running into battle are now like, oh my God, like I feed on despair. There's no despair here. So they begin to kind of despair in their own way. Like they begin to flee. It becomes fear. And they just start chopping him down. And Fulgoth didn't care who was with him. He's like, yeah, if anyone escapes, they'll go back to the Plague Lands, but I just need to get out of here and warn my people.
Yeah.
And as he's running away from there, and here it is, folks, he could hear the ghouls and Sir Jerion like shouting and praising and howling their devotion to the King of Summer and Carrion.
No.
That's right. I told you, Bill. Carrion King. Confirmed. Boy. That was the thing we had talked about. I don't know if the Summer King is he the Carrion King or is he someone else, right?
Sounds like he is the Carrion King.
He is. He's the King of Summer and Carrion. So my little thoughts, might be a potential big bad.
That would be super cool for flesh eaters.
Oh yeah, it would. So in this point in the story, gives a break to talk about heralds and harbingers. Marrow Scroll heralds are essentially beacons for delusion, and their presence bodes a sweeping delusion, especially when they unfurl their marrow scrolls. So that little broken bone he has, it's actually part of his rules where he offers a bone, right?
Yeah.
But like they somehow made it so the marrow rolls out like an actual scroll. It just sounds so disgusting, right? When he does it, it's like they say it's like an inferno erupts, right? And so the delusion becomes so overpowering, right? That so anyone who doesn't have some type of resistance to it is instantly succumb to the delusion.
Wow.
Right? In fact, I'm going to read this directly from the book because this is one of my favorite quotes from the book. So this is after it describes the Marrow Scroll heralds. I don't care what the marshals or any bleeding conclavers say, ever queen take their eyes. That Sir Jerion be a hero, so he is. He didn't just leave us out in the thorn brush of Gairon, blasted rain silent down day and night with all our finest soldiers called back to coddle a bushel of magnates and farmers. He and his knights are still out there, still fighting, rallying the folk against these cursed plague spawn. And they say he's just one champion in the army of some great jolly king. Ruinous hells. But that sound like a lord I could get behind. Especially if the feasts are as good as the tales say. So
that's some good stuff.
That's some good stuff. So that's the Marrow Scroll Heralds, sort of a quick description of who they are. And so it's indicating Sir Gerion's not the only herald, and they confirm that coming up here.
Yep.
But they talk about harbingers of decay. I call them the dirty deed doers for Nurgle. They bring despair as a representation of mortals' desire to give in to despair and not to change. So it's embracing, essentially depression, those kinds of things when you have the opportunity to change, but you don't, and how that rots civilization.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a commentary there. They are a bunch of humorless jerks that even other Magakin aren't too fond of.
Yeah.
Right? Because they have no humor. They are not funny. They don't like jokes.
They're not.
Right.
They're not good Nurgle.
No.
So.
But they're necessary as sort of like, it talks about how Nurgle's not just the god of decay, right? But he is the god of despair, because despair in and of itself causes decay.
Sure.
Right? So he's cyclical. So that's, Nurgle is not just happy and all that stuff, right? We usually think of it being like, oh, the Nurglings are hilarious, and if you give in to the curse, you feel so amazing, and all that. But no, the Harbingers of Decay are just literal, like, certified dicks, just walking around being jerks to everyone.
Debbie Downers.
Yeah. The worst. So following Full Goth's cowardice or retreat or whatever you want to call it, the ghouls are emboldened and crawl out of everywhere to attack the Magakin. And so this actually gives Order the opportunity to reinforce outposts. So the Stormcast actually start going out to the outposts to reinforce. It allows the Reigns to actually push further.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
So it actually starts causing a shift. Obviously, it was never intended by the Flesh Eater courts, right?
Right.
To them, it's about the glorious combat and, uniting the peoples to ensure that they don't fall to despair instead of using, some jerk's magic. Right. Won't you cry about it, Illyriel? And she did. She does. But heralds have found their way, even into Hish, visiting Lumineth. They even find another court, like the Bright Emperor, who is on this, like, what does they call it? What is his name? Gorstein Mortivel, the rabidly fanatical Bright Emperor of Metricus Vertiginous Peaks.
Oh, well.
So, yeah, it gets into there. And then I love this, too. Others align themselves with OCR cohorts that still roam the lands. There's a throwback, right? When Nagash fought and, there's still some OBR around. Daubing the bones of these holy warriors in the hot gore of Lumineth who could not be convinced to join the Herald's cause.
Oh, my. That's visual.
Right? And so that's how they view the OBR, right?
Sure.
Really interesting. So in terms of what the Heralds are doing, it's very obvious that they've traveled far and wide. They've even gotten to Chamon and have battled Skaven and the Gits. So there's like this three-way battle going on. This is what starts introducing what they call the rabble rouses, right? So I have very colorful language for them in this description.
Yes, you did.
But they're a bunch of little jerks that run around, pretty much mostly Gur and Ulgu, though there's some in Akshi, as we'll find out, and in Chamon, where they go around snatching people up, and they just cause all kinds of mayhem and chaos. They bring Trogoths and bugs and grots, and everyone just goes and has a row, But because of all the stuff that was happening, particularly in Gur and Ulgu, Fireslayer mercenaries really started to join up to help repel them. Though overall Slayers formed mostly in Akshi. Because Hammerhall's connected, through the Storm Rift Gate, the plague has been creeping in.
Yeah.
Right? But they don't have healing rain in Akshi, And there's
that's bad.
Yeah. So they have to handle it a different way, right? But I will say real quick, a note is that there's some people trying to smuggle the rainwater through the rift, and the Stormcast stopping them and be like, you can't do that. That's illegal, and we don't want to piss off the Gyranians. So you don't have a constant flow of the thing that's would best help them. So what do?
Go Stormcast.
When you have no magic or no healing rain, it's obvious that what you should do, Bill, is rely on religious zeal.
Yes.
And that's what the people of Akshi did, right? They even set up these special pyres to burn away the plague, but folks started getting too zealous, and they started using the fire on other people, saying that they were plagued or they weren't zealous enough. They were going to bring this plague upon them, killing animals, kids. Like, they would literally set them aflame, right?
Unmarried
to
women.
Purify them. Yeah.
Salem? Anyone? Salem?
Any woman who instigates a prurient interest in a male.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're like just murking each other at some points because the zeal's growing so much that the only way for them to stop the despair is to be angry religious jerks.
Yay,
right?
religion.
So, so here's where we get Fury, right? So he's last of a magma hold. He's come to warn others of their fate, and he meets other Slayers who spoke of the same problems, which are little jerks bringing Troggoths around for a scrap. And so his magma hold, he was the only survivor, which is how he becomes a Grimhold exile. Talk more about that later. He decided he needed to do whatever it took to deliver the message to the Conclave in Akshi, right? And say, hey, these guys are going to be a problem. We need to do something to stop them. They've already destroyed my magma hold. Well, meanwhile, you have Braggett, a little jerk. He becomes quite a problem. Braggett, he's one of those little rabble-rousers who would cause Grotz and Troggoths to like to go fight dudes, and he'd brag about it, right? Pretty easy, you know? So his whole thing is that like he was running constantly through, and he talks a mad game. Like he is such an egoist, right? Where he's just like, oh yeah, no, I got all these Trogs, and we went and had this great fight and all this stuff. But the thing is, he's constantly on the move doing it, right? And like instigating people, instigating Grotz, like pulling Troggoths up with him. And there's like a joke where people like don't know if he was actually like honest about what was happening, or if he was just trying to gather enough forces to help protect him because it seemed like he was running from something. What happens is that they start going through, he's doing this, he's running through these little caves underneath Akshi, right? Under Hammerhall, right? And it turns out that some of the settlements that were created, one of them was Greyfa, but they actually dig down into the earth to claim these different like nodes, right? And Greyfa was a place where they created glass. It was a glass blowing, like an artisans type of guild area, right? Still the fires smoldering, that kind of stuff, very Akshi, which they needed to make the glass. And Braggett ends up breaking out into there where they smash stuff and they loot stuff. Like it's like Skaven, but like more chaotic, right? Sure. Or I should say more destructive.
Yeah.
So it turns out the Free Guild couldn't handle it, but one of the leaders of the Free Guild was smart because he had overheard a dwarf saying that he wanted to meet with the Conclave, but couldn't. So he went to him and said, hey, we got a bunch of those little jackwagons down there. And if you help us kill them, then I'll get you a chance to speak to the council or the Conclave. Nice. So yeah, he got a bunch of his Slayers. They went down into the into Greyfa to clash with the Grotz. The Grotz were so wound up by the rabble-rouser, by Braggett, that they didn't even notice they're on fire sometimes. They were just crazy. Like they just high on shrooms, just smashing stuff and fighting stuff.
Oh, boy.
Braggett had brought Trogs and all that stuff, and they're fighting valiantly. And then Fury sees Braggett and decides to go after him, knowing that he's probably the one that caused the problem, you know? But interestingly enough, Braggett had been able to get a Gobblepalooza with him. And so they were going to try and fight him. And they were sending waves of Grotz and all kinds of stuff at Fury. And he was just smashing him with his two hammers. Now, the thing is, a Grimhold exile, if they are the last survivor, they bring the great flame of their magma hold with them. And a little preview later on is they try to sometimes reinstigate a magma hold with that fire.
Yeah.
But so he carries the fire in his hammers. And so he's smashing through everything. And the fire that he has inside, like the power it's giving off, is driving the other fire slayers to fight harder and harder. And it appears he's about to be overwhelmed when he's close to Braggett. And so what he does is he unleashes the great flame by smashing his two hammers together. And it sends a literal wave of fire that just eradicates everything in its path until it gets to Braggett. The Gobblepalooza used all of their magic to try and stop it.
Oh boy.
They weren't wholly successful, right? And so Braggett was burned all over half of his body, right? But was able to like crawl away cursing into a hole and fall back down. But they fully repelled the Grotz, and then Fury passes out.
God, that sounds good.
Right? So then we find out rabble-rousers are just little jerks that talk a mad game. They're full of themselves. Everything's ego. They have a seemingly magical voice that's louder than it should be, right? And it causes a bunch of like what they call religious zeal in others, and just this desire to go fight things, because their destruction, after all, they still like a scrap, even though the thing is with Grots, and they describe, is that they don't want to go into a scrap unless they think they might have a chance of winning.
Sure.
So that's when they go just ape and they start smashing, because like, oh, we've got 40 trogs with us, right? Let's go ahead and run up there now. And they like smashing stuff. So yeah, it's crazy. Then the Grimhold Exiles are actually an unusual breed in Fire Slayers, right? Because usually they have that like Oath of Doom, right, where what they want to do is find that great battle where they die in combat, right? Grimhold Exiles are generally the ones who are left over. They don't have to do anything special other than survive, and they're the last member of their magma hold. And so some of them will want to like go on and help others, and avoid whatever fate that they had. Some will want to go and reestablish the magma holds, which is why they take the Great Flames with them. But either way, that they are impressively powerful warriors for the Slayers. And so hopefully one day, they'll be able to rebuild what was once lost. But they say that like amongst Fire Slayers, they're the only ones who are able to withstand that much grief and loss and still go forward. Because in fact, it kind of drives them forward.
Yeah.
So instead of being like fiery and like, let's go to battle and stuff, they're like usually cold and reserved. I mean, they still fight like
Little Mad
like
Orange
fire
Man.
and stuff. Yeah. But yeah, pretty cool. There's sort of a little outro, which doesn't really give us much other than sort of suggest that the Carrion King is coming more. It talks about Fiore being able to approach the Conclave and tell him what's going on.
Only took the whole book for that to happen.
I know, right?
Jeez.
Here's where it is. So they decide what they're going to do is they need to move back out, need to bring the Dawnbringers in and push forward. I just want to read this last paragraph here. Thus was the location for Gairon's arm of the Mountain Crusades set. Northern Verdia and beyond, up to the mountains of the Neck. Gairon's soil would be watered with the sweat of the faithful and the blood of martyrs, and a new era of rebirth would be ushered in. Sigmar's will was with them after all. It would be madness to think otherwise. So Verdia is where Sir Geryon generally was, stopping the Shudderblight from really affecting anyone. What we have here in the story, just a quick TLDR on it, is that the Flesh Eater courts are starting to amount, and they are naturally resistant to the plague that Nurgle's trying to bring. And there's some insanely powerful entity called the King of Summer and Carrion, who's even touching the bones that he blesses the heralds with is enough to overwhelm anything around them. Meanwhile, the rabble rousers are causing problems just here and there, right? I think the primary story is in Gairon right now, where you have, now that the Flesh Eater courts have pushed back the Harbingers, pushed back the Shudderblight, the forces of order are trying to take that opportunity to march towards the north and try and cleanse up that way. As they cleanse up that way, it's probably going to be the reveal of the Carrion King.
Sure.
Right? So that's sort of the long and short of it.
Such a great setup for this 4-book set.
Yeah.
And of course, this is going to lead us to a new edition. But yeah, this is just, that story sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely going to read that tonight.
It's good. I'm going to go back and read it when I'm not just trying to take notes on it and just really, absorb it.
Yeah.
But it's good. So,
shall I take over a little?
Yeah, if you want to talk about it.
Okay, so let's get into the rules that are presented in Harbinger. And if you buy the book, the very last page, there's a little envelope, and inside of it are 4 war scrolls for the, the Harbingers themselves. So that's a super little bonus that you get with the book. The actual rules are going to bring in the regiments of renown for the Harbingers. Very cool. There's one for each Grand Alliance, and there's also a set of upgrades and everything else for each Grand Alliance, as well as requests for aid for each Grand Alliance. The regiments are faction locked, so if your army has an Order General but is not Fire Slayers, you can bring Fiore's Flame Bearers. If your armor's Chaos but not Maggotkin, you can bring Fulgoth's Shudderhood Regiment of Renown. If your army is Death but not Flesh Eater courts, you can include Geryon's Delegation. And if your army is Destruction but not Gloomspite, you can include Braggott's Bottle Snatches. So the 4 regiments of renown, not super broken, powerful, but very thematic and cool to the storyline.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun. Kind of hate that they're faction locked like that, but okay, no biggie.
Yeah, if you look at the points in the back, they separate out. So you have your individual heroes, right, that are there. This is how much your individual hero costs. Your Marrow Skull Herald's
And you
150.
can always bring the individual Harbinger, no matter what.
That's what I'm saying. So if you have the full list, right? So you can take the Herald for 115 or his regiment for 460. So if you're Flesh Eater Courts, you're not losing out, right? No matter what. And then the Exile, 140 or 540 for everything with it. Rabble Rouses, 100 for the Rousa, 500 for all of it. Harbinger Decay, 190 or 590 for all of it. So you're not losing out there because, frankly, if you look at some of the rules, right, you kind of get them in your armies anyway.
Yeah.
So it'd be kind of fun to have a Regiment of Renown, but all it does is give you unified for that one regiment, which isn't bad if you're allying in.
Yeah, it kind of makes it a one drop, but it's not going to hurt.
No, I don't think so.
So, interesting thing for the narrative Path to Glory battle pack that comes with this Harbinger's book is we have some interesting point ranges.
We do. So it changes up from the core book, right?
Yeah, just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. You have much broader point ranges.
Yeah.
So 500 to 750. Yeah, sure. That sounds like a small game size, Josh. That's not a bad thing. No, you're right. It's not bad at all. The next point limit set is 751 to 2250.
Huh. An extra 250 points. Wonder what that's for. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then you have over 2250. And it gives you the recommended board sizes. So 30 by 44, 44 by 60, 44 by 90.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that board? Woo!
No,
I mean,
I don't want to.
doesn't that feel a little bit, though, like pushing towards apocalypse?
At that point, yeah, we're getting a little much.
Yeah.
So, but still, it gives you the option to, you're doing Path to Glory. Your army's going to grow. And, that's one of the things that's even in the normal Path to Glory is as your armies grow and the bigger point games become really interesting to manage. And I think they're starting to address that now. They're starting to bring that in here. So I like that.
Yeah, me too. So you get 6 battle plans in this. And remember, this is Harbinger Path to Glory battle pack.
Right.
One of the things that what I think they're doing and what I like, if they are doing this, is that you're getting involved in the narrative, right? You are part of this narrative when you play this battle plan.
Yeah.
Right? So if you want to actually sort of play the characters, right? You can bring those regiments and have the sense that I'm playing with Fury.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm recreating this battle from the lore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff, which, we talk about, you've heard us before, fans of that in Horus Heresy. We're fans when the players become involved
Yes.
in the actual developing story. And yeah, I love it.
I do too.
I love it.
I do too. So one thing that is brought up, it's been brought up in the actual core rules update, and it's also spelled out here, is alternating deployment for scenarios that call for it. So yeah, interesting little change to the setup here. I like this a lot better. I'm hoping for more and more scenarios that call for alternating deployment.
It's a totally different game, doesn't it?
It really does, because if you're bad at deployment like I am, you can mitigate a lot of especially if you're deploying first. I find that if I deploy second, I can be a little more reactive, obviously.
Yeah.
Whereas if I go first, I tend to telegraph what I'm going to do. And I mean, I know that happens a lot of times, but to me, it just seems like I'm making it easier for my opponent to counter anything I want to do.
Yeah, I think what it does is, those folks who are like, no, I'm forcing myself into a one-drop scenario, right? No, you aren't.
Yeah, you don't.
Literally, the battle plan says no.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah, which makes it so people may try other battle plans, right? And that was the thing, if you look at the most used regiments, right? People are dropping battalions all day.
Yep.
One drop, I determine who goes first.
Yep.
Right? It was the biggest competitive thing, but now you're going to have literal maps in your battle pack that say, I don't care what you thought you were doing. So there's actually incentive to really flex into the other core regiments, right? Or the regiments within the new book.
Which is great, because I mean, this should be a narrative pack, and they're reinforcing that idea, that narrative idea.
Yep.
So the next rule you have out there is the Plague of Doubt for games played with this battle pack. After deployment, but before the first battle round begins, players roll off the winner rolls on the following table, adding 1 to the roll for each player who has a communication outpost, which we'll get into here in a minute. So the different effects of this are 1 through 3 is no effect. On a 4, stick together, subtract 1 from the bravery characteristic of friendly units while they are more than 3 inches away from all other friendly units. Oh, the cavalry. Oh, no.
Yeah, don't go too far.
Oh, the outliers. So, yeah, you're going to want to clump together. This affects both sides, by the way. Number 5 is Crisis of Confidence. Subtract 1 from casting enchanting rolls. Just across the board. Magic's going to be a little harder this time.
Yep.
Number 6, or result of 6, is Miasma of Misery. Little interesting. Okay, the range of missile weapons and spells is limited to 18 inches, Lord Croak. So
I love that one.
that one's definitely weird. And on a 7 or higher, you are blighted by despair. Each player must pick 1 friendly unit from their starting army to be blighted by despair. Units cannot receive Inspiring Presence command while they're within 3 inches of any units blighted by despair. Ow. So you're going to pick a cavalry unit and send them way to hell out there.
Oh, yeah.
So just little fun twists for the game. It's kind of like the old, the twists that they used to have for, in the open war decks and what have you. It affects both people. So we're not talking game changing. Oh, this ruins. No, it's just fun. It's just flat out fun. Now, do you want to tell us about Harbingers?
Yeah, I love the Harbinger stuff. So why do we even have these Harbingers? Why is there 1 per faction? Bill?
Oh, pick me. Because they allow you to build communication centers.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you want comms,
which are good.
Yeah. Comms are good, but comms also cause more doubt, which is great.
Awesome.
I love that.
There's this huge upside, and then there's a downside.
Oh, major one. Major one. So Harbingers are interesting. So if you already have a Harbinger, you have the ability to do a particular quest. If you don't have one, you have a quest that gets you a Harbinger. Why are Harbingers important? Because of the slew of possible buffs that you get when you request support.
If I was running a campaign, no one would start with a Harbinger. You have to do the quest.
Yes.
That would be so much fun.
So, side note, I told Anders down at the shop, if you want me to, I'll run this battle pack.
Oh, cool.
After we do the next 40K.
Nice.
And that's how I'm going to do it. Everyone has to earn their Harbinger.
Yeah, you have to.
Right? And, who knows? I might make my own rules to rein some armies in. So, quest 1, Agents of Upheaval. You can only embark on this quest if you do not have a Harbinger. So you have 1 Harbinger. That's it. If your Harbinger dies, you can go get another one by doing this quest. Pick 1 hero on your order of battle that is not your warlord to send off to find the Harbinger. At the end of a Path to Glory battle, if that hero was not included in your army, add 2 quest points to the progress section of your quest log and roll a dice. If the roll is less than the number of quest points you have accumulated, you complete this quest. When you complete this quest, you can add a Harbinger. Right?
So max of 3 scenarios without a Harbinger.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Max. But then if you already have one, you can spread the word. You can only embark on this quest if you have a Harbinger. At the end of each Path to Glory battle, add 1 quest point to the progress section if a friendly Harbinger is either contesting an objective or is wholly within enemy territory. In addition, at the end of each Path to Glory battle, you can spend 1 glory point to gain 1 additional quest point. Once you've gained 3 or more quest points, you complete the quest. Add D6 renown to your Harbinger. In addition, if you have an Ancient Roads territory, you can upgrade it to a trade route without spending any glory points.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
Holy wow.
So then adding a Harbinger, it's just very clear and straightforward.
Yeah.
Yes, these are the ones that you do. There's a note on a Harbinger of Decay, right? You can still use that model in your army, but just make sure it's noted which one is your actual Harbinger.
Sure.
Do you want to do a little bit of communication outpost for us, Bill?
Okay. So communication outposts. All right. They allow you to reach out, coordinate support from allied settlements, as well as access the more powerful veteran abilities for Harbingers. Okay, that sounds great. I will build one right now. No, you won't. After winning a battle using this battle pack, if you have a Harbinger on your order of battle, you can choose to establish a communication outpost at the end of step 6 of the Aftermath sequence. In order to do that, you spend 5 glory points. So it's not super expensive. They're not trying to make this an ultimate goal. This is a thing you're going to do along the way, and very early, I hope.
Oh, yeah.
If you already have the maximum number of outposts your stronghold allows, you can have up to 1 outpost, stronghold, 2 outposts, imposing, and 3 outposts. If it's a mighty stronghold, you can choose to remove one of your existing outposts to allow the establishment of the new communication outpost. So this does count against your outpost limits.
Yes.
So don't think it's an add-on. After removing the outpost, if you have more units of the type on your order of battle that allows you, you must remove units of that type from your order of battle. So if your order of battle is based on having 3 outposts, you might have to take it down. Or a level 3 outpost. You'll have to take it down. So if you do establish a communication outpost, you pick a territory under your control that does not currently have an outpost on it and add a note to it that says it's got a comm outpost. So what does that do for me? Well, the communication outpost allows you to receive messages from nearby settlements, which can provide opportunities to earn alliance points. We'll cover that in just a second. They allow you to spend alliance points to request support from allied settlements. And there's one table for each type. It's super cool.
Super cool.
We are going to get through that here in a minute. And they unlock the last 2 ranks for your Harbinger on its renown table. And that is super key because you're not going to achieve the last 2 ranks, which is where the Harbingers get beefy.
Oh, yeah.
Without a communication outpost. So the first thing that you got was the ability to receive messages. If you have a communication outpost, you can roll once on the following table during step 6 of the aftermath sequence. On a 1 or a 2, there's no message. You check the phone and there's no beep.
Nope.
On a 3, it's a 1 beep. No, I'm kidding. It's requested resources. You can spend 1 glory point to send resources to an allied settlement. If you do, you receive 1 alliance point. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So on a 4, you get called for aid. You can pick 1 unit that is not a hero on your order of battle to send to your allies' aid. If you do so, roll a die. On a 3 up, you receive 1 alliance point. However, on a 1 or a 2, the unit suffers significant losses in the ensuing battle, and you make a casualty roll as if it had been destroyed in battle. Boo.
Oof.
Yeah. On a 5, you get War Council. You pick a hero on your order of battle to journey to the Alliance War Council. Add 1 to the roll if chosen hero is your warlord. On a 3 up, you get an alliance point. On a 1 or a 2, guess what? Injury roll as if you'd been destroyed in battle. Boo.
Boo.
On a 6, you get an alliance point, flat out. So
Yep.
it's a crapshoot. We'll tell you about alliance points. So now you want to talk about what it means to request support?
Yeah, so this is where the alliance points come in. Once you've established contact and helped nearby settlements out, you can spend your accumulated alliance points to request aid in an upcoming battle. If you choose to do so at the start of any Path to Glory battle before deployment, you can pick one of the abilities from the tables over the following pages, spend 1 alliance points, and roll a dice. Add 1 to the roll if the faction you are requesting for aid from is listed as an ally in your faction's pitched battle profiles, right? So you're better with Caradron than you are with Idoneth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna pick
request
them.
from them.
Yep.
On a 3+, you can use your chosen ability during that battlefield. So it's got everything here, under factions for orders, cities of Sigmar, Daughters Kane, Fire Slayers, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Right? Each one has a bonus.
Super interesting in that, like, say you're playing Stormcast and you request aid from the Lumineth Realm Lords. The thing you're going to get is Ethercourt's Focus. Once per battle in that hero phase, pick 1 friendly wizard to use Ethercourt Focus. Add 1 to casting rolls for that wizard until the end of the phase. We're not talking about, this is game breaking and this is ridiculous. That's why if I was running this, I would eliminate that roll on a 3 up. If you spend the alliance point, you get that thing.
I would do it this way. Here's what I would do, right? If they are your allies in the pitch battle profile, you just spend the point.
Yeah.
If they're not someone you are allied with, then you have to 3 up to see if they're willing to
to help you out. Yeah, I mean, I like that. And they have one of these tables for each, for chaos. It's all split up by Skaven, slaves, Hedonites. If you're death, well, it's the big 4. And if you're destruction, it's the big 4. So you're going to get something that is very thematic to that army. And it's going to help you out. But again, none of these, as I look through them, were like, I am building my army around the ability to call for this.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be fun. It's going to be cool. And it's going to add a little flavor to the game. That's all. Very cool.
There's so many cool things in here.
There's
so many cool things in here.
There is.
Like the Sons of Behemoth throwing boulders, you literally just destroy a terrain piece.
Yeah.
It's not faction terrain.
Right.
I'm like, that's so cool.
And, think about that if you're playing Sylvaneth. That's huge.
Yeah.
I mean, but also, it's not game breaking. The Sylvaneth person can replace that.
Yeah.
So you're not talking about, oh, well, that just ruined the game for me. No. It's going to
so
be
funny.
fun. And again, this is a narrative battle pack. Don't expect, oh, this is always going to be completely fair. No, it's not.
It's definitely not.
So last but not least, the thing that you can do is to basically get your Harbinger of Renown veteran abilities.
Oh, yeah. These are awesome.
And they are super cool. So at the different renown points, 0 to 10, you're a rising harbinger. 11 to 15, you're notable. 16 to 20, you're a veteran. 21 to 25, you have to have a communication outpost. Sorry.
Yeah.
Now you're renowned harbinger. Now people are listening to you.
Yep.
26 to 30, and I don't know why it stopped. It should be 26 plus because do you just stop? So anyway, it again requires communication outpost, but you're a mighty harbinger. And this is how you start to unlock some very cool veteran abilities. And this is the first one I've seen where they really put some thought into, not only because there's different levels, so if you're a veteran, you get this particular thing, but there's a choice. There's an either or.
Yeah.
So you want to take these away and just hit the ones you thought were the coolest?
So 3 of the 4 in Mighty Harbinger get a 4+ ward. The only one that doesn't is the Marrow Scroll Herald, because I don't know why they hate Flesh Eater Courts. But
well, they'll probably have some kind of wording in the book.
Oh, it's gonna be some. They already have wards of 6+.
Yeah.
Right. So whatever. But anyway, there's some really good abilities, like whether it's let's see, the Renowned Harbinger Aura Vigor. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made by friendly units while they are wholly within 12 inches of this unit. So being able to take your Blight Kings up the board, just fat and bouncy, and they you can all out attack them to get them to 2s to hit, and then they're 2s to wound.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, every single day of the week, do I want to do that? Right? I mean, it's not easy to get there because you have to focus down and raise up your Herald, and
right.
you have to get your Outpost and all those things.
Sure.
Right? But then you have like Marrow Scroll Herald, Beacon of Inspiration. All these are super themey. Beacon of Inspiration. This unit can use the rally command once per turn without a command point being spent.
Oh, freaking bonus. Just freaking bonus.
Then let's see, the Exile. I'm trying to find the one I thought was really good. There it is. Volcanic Endurance. This unit can run and still charge later in the turn. Right? You need that to get those little short legs up there, right?
Yep.
Then, the Rabble Rouses. I mean, a lot of it's just so good. Goading. Add 2-inch move to the move characteristic of friendly monsters while they're wholly within 12 of this unit. Like, it does a bunch of little fun, themey things.
Yep.
Now, what you have to understand is that you have 2 different columns here. You get Notable Harbinger for any of them. You have 2 options.
Yeah.
Right? So there's never just you are the one thing building up. You can mix and match. So do I want to add 1 to fire, add 1 to my attacks, or do I want to add 1 to my wound characteristic? And you have to pick that. And then you get one of those for Notable Harbinger. Then you move to Veteran Harbinger.
Yes.
Right? Do I want to do Battle Cry, where Order units wholly within 12 inches can reroll wound rolls of 1? Or do I want Champion of Order, which is friendly Order units wholly within 12 inches of this unit have a Bravery characteristic of 9, unless it would be higher.
Yeah.
And so what are your options? You have to pick one.
That's crazy hard to pick because those are both good. And in most of these places, these are both complementary abilities that you would like to have both of. But the or is in large print and italic. They mean or.
Yeah.
So, and I would have to imagine at some point we're going to see an ability that's going to be able to say, take both veteran abilities. I mean, I know I would throw that in there at some point because that's fun.
I absolutely love what they've done here with this battle pack. Not going to get into the battle plans.
No.
I mean, none of them are terribly difficult, though I will say this. One thing I thought was really cool is Battle for the Pass.
Oh, yes.
Where you literally have your territory set up, and then it's like this strip down the center of the board, and you have to block off other parts of the board. So it's literally a pass, right? Yep. So they're starting to play around with a lot more of that.
Well, and the thing is in the narrative scenarios, they can do so much more.
Oh, yeah.
because narrative players they're probably going to take what's there and expand upon it anyway.
Oh, yep.
So yeah, just absolutely not. I mean, I love Battle for the Past and some of the different iterations it's seen. Some of them have been really bad.
Oh,
and
yeah.
some of them have just been a joy to play.
Yep.
So, and then later on, the book just goes through all of the regiments of renown and the different things that they bring, with some slight changes to war scrolls here and there for the regiment's use only, but nothing, like if you're used to playing those war scrolls, you're not going to be like, oh, it plays totally different.
Right.
A very cool overall. This book, I thought Thondia set a bar very high for what we could see in their narrative output, and this book smashes through that bar with an ease, with a practiced ease. They did some thinking about this book.
They really did. And what I'm hoping is they continue the story in a very clear, cogent way.
Yes.
When we did the Broken Realm stuff, and it was all really great, but they were like, sometimes seemed disjointed, Why are we here? Did the Bellicor book actually end up being relevant to the story in the long run? No. Kinda.
I mean, other than the lore portion, no.
Yeah. So I'm hoping they use this to develop the lore and continue forward. And I think that if it's going to be a series of narrative battle packs, right? Path to Glory battle packs in each one of these releases, I think they're going to have to stretch them out, right? It's not, they're not going to fire them off real quick, right?
Right.
And it'd be great if they did, in fact, parlay into, the next edition. So,
well, and this gives me great pause because this book was originally scheduled to come out in September.
yeah.
And they backed it up to July. And my only thought there is, why? Is it because I think they thought that having 4 books released between September and summertime next year when we get another edition, they thought maybe that time frame was a little too compressed and you wouldn't have enough time to play through this book before the next book just dropped.
Yeah.
And I think that was kind of a problem with the 5 books in the last set.
Yeah, it was.
They literally dropped, you read through the first one and yay, it's Marathi and let's do all these. Oh yeah, no, the new book's here.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got to quit and do this other one.
Yeah.
Come on. Kudos to them for actually seeing that was an issue, and maybe that's what they're doing to fix it, or maybe it's just slid into the production schedule. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, good on you for doing it. We're actually not going to cover the General's Handbook right now, simply because we are A, running out of time, B, there's a lot to digest, and we've already done the Antor scroll. We'll cover all the folk eyes and the wizards and all that other good stuff. In that we want to have content for the next show. Let's just say, come on.
Yeah.
Let's just have it.
Call it what it is, folks.
Yeah.
We're starved for it with AOS.
Yep. So I'm telling you, Harbingers is far and away an A+ in my book.
I agree. Story-wise, I think it's a great setup. It reads like a really strong opening salvo to a much larger story. Calling out the Carry On King when you've got the Flesh Eater Courts book dropping at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, man, if we get one more of these books that introduces the Carry On King around the exact same time the Flesh Eater Court book drops and his model drops, I'm going to be a very happy camper.
Or even if they drop book 2 with just a lot more foreshadowing, and then book 3 and the battle tome come out, that would be awesome. I don't know, whatever they do, they haven't missed it yet. So good freaking job.
Good stuff.
And they actually have me finally in this point where I'm dying to see the next part of the story, just kind of like it was with the last set of 5.
Yeah.
I'm dying to see where they go and where this all goes. And I'm giving this book an A+ without even having read the lore yet.
Yeah.
So I can imagine what I'm going to say next time. This book is junk. It's trash. I hate it. Okay.
Can't wait to hear your side of it. Like I said, I really just summarized it as best I could for everyone. But there's a lot of really nitty gritty detail. I'm interested to see if a lot of these characters that weren't mentioned, like not the Harbingers, but the other ancillary characters, make it into further books. Like, are they going to be relevant characters, or they're going to do the, Broken Realms? Yeah, we talked about them like 2 books ago. We don't care about that person anymore.
Right.
Right. Are we going to have frogs with spaceships blowing up, rocket ship towers? I don't know.
Everything. Yeah. I truly love the way in this book that not only do they talk about these Harbingers and are they the main focus of the story, but they're in your order of battle now.
Yeah.
That dude that you've been reading about and you think is cool is now a part of your army.
Yeah.
And you get to grow him up.
Yep.
So that to me is just off the hook. Very cool.
Oh, totally cool.
Super well conceived. Good on you guys. Before we sign off, another reminder about animosity campaigns. Yeah, I know I'm harping on it, but go to wearetheneon.com. Follow the link to Animosity 5. If you like narrative, which is generally the only reason you're here because you're not getting anything competitive, then jump out there and get involved. You can get involved at any level. You can do one thing over the course of the whole deal, or you can play 25 games. Just get involved. It's awesome, and they put so much effort into that. Alex and his crew are amazeballs. So with that, do we have anything else for this show?
I don't think we have anything else. I think we covered it all that we're going to cover today.
All right.
Yeah. So the next step is, well, as you all know, if you're with us, we'll see you after dark.
Hey, before we completely sign off, just want to say next episode is episode 150. I guess that's some kind of a milestone. It's like some sort, I don't know. We've been doing this a while. So we are going to have a giveaway for the listeners.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll figure out how we're going to do that. But we are going to have in the After Dark segment, we're going to have some prizes given away to Patreon members. So hint, hint, click like and subscribe, join the Patreon, that kind of thing. So
the next After Dark might get a little wild.
Yes, we just discovered a name for it, and it's going to be different.
What happens after dark stays after dark.
That's
folks,
right.
So.
But I am trying to work it out and get time scheduled with Elric. If he can't be here for the recording of the show, might just do a quick chat with him sometime during the week. But we're going to bring back Elric because, he's a dude. He's a good dude.
Stormcaster, cool.
The music in the show is used courtesy of Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com and is used under the Creative Commons license. The Rolling Bad podcast itself is protected under the Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License. Information for this license can be found at creativecommons.org.